I bicycle 12.5 kilometers to school every day. However, I have recently been in a bit of an accident and my leg is in pain. So I haven't bicycled in almost 2 weeks and I am really noticing my endurance going down also with walking, etc. When you get injured, you should really do your best to rest as much as possible. I know that we have a drive to keep ourselves fit, and also we have things going in our lives that mean we have to walk places, we need to cycle, we have necessities, but the best thing to do is get as much rest out of that as possible. If you've injured yourself, you need to fully recover before getting back into it again. And yes, you're going to start with less endurance and be able to cycle less distances, etc. But you've got to think of the long term here, which is you don't want to continuously aggravate an injury. You need to give it time to recover. I eat when I feel like it, and I eat whatever. Works for me. I just try to listen to my body. Sometimes my body demands pizza, sometimes rice. Other times it feels like I hunger for something specific, and I think that that's my body telling me what it needs. For lunch today, for example, I had salad as my body told me he would like that. It sounds like a good philosophy to just listen to your body and respond to it. And I think that there is definitely some truth in that, but you would need to be informed about what it is that you're eating and understand how your body works to some extent as well. For example, in your gut biome, you have microbes living there that are related to the food that you have eaten. If you ate pizza every single day, you would probably find yourself craving pizza a lot. Maybe if you're just eating it 10 days in a row, not the next day, but you are creating the cravings that you have by the foods that you eat. So if you did nothing but eat really healthy food for a long time, you then tend to start to crave these things. I would also add that we have a food industry and it understands how people's bodies works and it engineers food to be as addictive and consumable as possible. Just take sweets and candies and the overuse of sugar as an example. If you are consuming these things, they are going to create really strong cravings, and so you may feel like you're listening to your body, but your body may not be working optimally. So really, it needs a lot more information than just that one idea. How do you gain weight though? In theory, you should simply eat more calories than you burn off. So every day, based on how much activity you do, you're going to burn off a certain amount of calories, and the idea is to consume more than that, and then those excess calories get converted into weight. Now, there are some other theories that genetics and other types of factors can play into what your body's doing to prevent it from gaining weight. And if you are trying to gain weight, I would suggest consulting a professional, because I haven't had any real experience in this, and I do know that there are healthy ways and unhealthy ways to gain weight based on what you're doing. If you have a very sedentary lifestyle and you eat a lot of junk food and you use that to gain weight, that's kind of an unhealthy approach. Of course, if you maintain an excess of calories every day and you're also keeping up your physical fitness, doing exercise and whatnot, then that can be a healthy way to gain fat. But since I haven't really ever had a goal to do this myself, then I don't really have some experience that I can pass on. Xisuma body pillow merch when? This one made me chuckle, and it also got me thinking as well. So here on this channel, you're probably never going to see any merch unless I find something very unique and specific that feels like it actually has some sort of value. Probably not going to see merch, and I've done merch on my main channel. It's still available on xisumavoid.com. Did a bunch of t-shirt designs and other things that were kind of related to the channel, and those are all commission free, meaning myself and the artist don't make any money off of it, but the t-shirt companies that manufacture it do. But it means the markup price is about as low as I can get it. So these are like the cheapest shirts with the same sort of quality for other things that are out there. And the reason that I've not interested in doing merch here, and I never really pushed the merch on my other channel, is I just don't really feel like it's necessary in any way, or really something that I'm into myself. So it doesn't seem like something I really want to pursue because I'm not that interested in it. Hashtag Xisuma Q&A. Can you establish a hashtag and do only questions? The statements instead of questions in this video made it very confusing. I had to go and watch some of the videos to get context. I'm sorry that the experience was a bit confusing. I definitely need to think about that. How can I get more context into these Q&A videos? But going back and watching the videos lets you know everything about the topic that I'm talking about to some extent. Now, as for the hashtag Q&A, I don't really want to establish that. I don't want to have a Q&A format inside of my comments. I actually want it to be that everyone should just participate, discuss as they usually do, and I will pick out the things that I find interesting happening inside of the community and then talk to all of you. If we standardize the format more and sort of create a request system for having questions answered, I think we change the shape in which things are happening inside of the community, and at the moment I'd rather just keep it all neutral. Hey Asuma, something's been nagging me at the back of my mind. What are the long-term effects of intermittent fasting? Are they positive or negative? I tried doing some research, but I couldn't find much information at all. The thing is, I can't help but feel it would be somewhat negative. Maybe it's just me overthinking it, maybe not. I just felt that I had to say at this point or another, but then again, I have no evidence to support my claim. But it isn't a claim, it's just a thought. But is the thought right though? Honestly, I don't know which I wish to do. I think you've sort of stumbled into the correct line in thinking, in identifying that what you're talking about is just a thought and a feeling. You feel, you think that it's negative, but we should really look to evidence and information. And you said that you tried to do some research. I mean, searching intermittent fasting on Google and on YouTube, there is a plethora of information. I'm not sure what your approach was, but if you go to these places, you can find it. And there have actually been long-term studies done on intermittent fasting as well as short-term studies. There's a lot of theory that intermittent fasting was actually a very common thing very early on in our evolution and development. The idea that you'd hunt and gather all day, feast in the evening, and then go to sleep and wake up and repeat and spend lots of the days fasted. And there's also historical data as well that sort of suggests that as we started to create an abundance of food, then eating started to spread out throughout the day. So the information is out there. Go and look for it and try and, rather than follow your feelings, they can be intuitive and they can help you, seek in a direction, but you need to go to the data and then let the data inform what you think about it. Opinion on shooters, third person and or first person, please and thanks X. I'm personally not too big on shooter games, especially when they are, air quotes, realistic, when you're shooting other people and whatnot. I tend to get along with those types of games if they're more fantasy and thematic, like Doom, for example. You're shooting up aliens and crazy monsters. I'm kind of okay with that. And I used to actually play a lot of shooters, and then I started listening to the arguments against them that were sort of talking about desensitization and taking it a little bit seriously. And where I stopped playing first-person shooters, over time I noticed that I'd have such a more gut reaction to seeing people hurt in a movie, like getting shot. And it just kind of made me realize that desensitization thing was actually something that was happening to me. So when it comes to shooters and, first or third person, to me it's more about the simulation aspect. If you're running around killing people in that game, that doesn't work for me anymore. I'm all too aware that, like, when it's gamified, you're kind of desensitizing and taking out the human element. Why do you pronounce it brought instead of brought? There are certain words, and you've pointed out one of them, that I really struggle to say correctly, and it's the old, I think, PH and F and those sort of little phonetic sounds that I often get very wrong. And it is just something that I've always done. When I was a kid, I actually had therapy for it, and the therapy didn't really go anywhere at all. And I've just sort of been stuck talking like this. It's just very deeply rooted into how I learned language, I guess. And so there are a lot of words like that you'll hear me mispronounce. It's interesting how Minecraft YouTubers are really more down to earth than Fortnite YouTubers. The Fortnite people just joke about everything, but the Minecrafters talk about real things. I wonder why this is. I'm going to give you two responses to this. The first one will go against what you're saying. I think it can be very easy sometimes to narrow your focus and, let's say you find a community like Hermitcraft of like-minded people that might portray a bigger image of what you think Minecraft YouTubers are like. And the same thing for Fortnite. If you perhaps found your way into a different Fortnite community, there could be a different tone there. You've got to remember that these communities are absolutely massive and they're constantly pumping out content, and there's just so much of it to see that you can't really know all of it and actually summarize it up quite like you've described. And then to flip it in the other direction, Minecraft and Fortnite are different types of games, and they can produce different playing experiences which can create a different tone and atmosphere around the game when people are playing and commenting on it. So Fortnite being a shooter games can often be quite intense, and they can aggravate you when you think you're doing well and then all of a sudden you die, and that can lead to a different type of behavior in and around the game. Minecraft, on the other hand, is a creative game about expressing yourself and building things, and this is rarely an intense or aggravating situation to be in. It also focuses a lot on community in a very cooperative way. So when you play with other people, you tend to work together rather than fight one another. So these things could quite easily manifest into the types of people that end up playing those games and the types of content you will see around it. After looking at both sides of those coins, I think I'm actually going to side with the second one. I think it really makes sense to me now why Minecraft users might be more down to earth, air quotes, as you put it there. Regarding the subtitles issue, if that's YouTube's speech-to-text algorithm generating that, they'll use it to detect any banned words and punish your channel accordingly. I don't know what any specifics here, but I think that's the main concern. Well, the specifics you addressed are based on some assumptions. Perhaps when it's using its own speech-to-text algorithm, it may not take swear words as seriously because it may already understand that it can accidentally put in the wrong words in places. So who knows what YouTube's doing behind the system, but I have never seen any kind of flag or penalty for a subtitle in my video getting the wrong word and it being a swear word. And of course people love it when they see it, and I occasionally get tweets of, you know, the silliness that appears in the subtitles, and so I know it happens from time to time, and yet I've never seen an issue with it.